Chicago area school is addressing the poor grades of minority students compared to white students by encouraging the separating of Black and Latino students into their own classes by race. It feels like a page right out of the Jim Crow era in 2024. Evanston Township High School is basically giving segregation another try by offering optional so-called affinity classes, math and English, to Black and Latino students by race in order to boost their scores and apparently help them enroll in advanced curriculum. The classes are taught by a teacher of color, Superintendent Marcus Campbell, telling a local newspaper, quote, "A lot of kids of color talk about feeling very isolated, and so we think, how can we provide an opportunity to reduce performance anxiety and follow the research on stereotype threat and provide a different, more familiar setting to kids who feel really anxious about being in an AP class." This is coming 70 years after the landmark Brown versus Board of Education decision ending having classrooms separated based on skin color. According to the Wall Street Journal, 105 students enrolled in the program this school year for Hispanics, 86 in the Black-only classes. Under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, it says no person in the United States shall, on the ground of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subject to discrimination under any program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. This is a public school. These specific classes, launched in 2018, are once restricted to students who identify as Black or Latino, and they seem to have recognized the potential legal issues. And so the course descriptions were apparently updated, so now they're theoretically open to everyone. Quote, "While open to all students, this optional section of the course is intended to support students who identify as Latinx or Black." Looking at the website today, some classes say this course will emphasize examples that some individuals in the Black community identify as shared experiences. And there are similar ones for Hispanic students. There are also similar race-specific elective classes in schools in California, Minnesota, and Washington State. Joining me now is Joe Pinion, former U.S. Senate candidate who ran against New York Senator Chuck Schumer in New York. Good to see you, Joe.
Good to be here.
What do you make of this?
Look, it takes a special brand of hubris and privilege and bigotry to try to recast segregation as progress. And so, look, I think we all recognize that there are issues that disproportionately impact Black and brown students. This is not new to our nation. You go down to Maryland, Baltimore, 70% plus of the high school students reading at an elementary school level. Here in New York City, over 70% of the Black students unable to do math at grade level. So this is child abuse run rampant across the countryside. But the notion is here, they're not isolating the educational deficiencies, the deficiencies in the teaching. They're isolating the Blackness. They're isolating the ethnicity. And if it weren't for that, then on some basic level, they're saying that the deficiency is not in how they teach, but who is learning. That's a real problem.
There was a teacher who was teaching the Black students, they call it Axel English, and she said, "From my experience as a student and a teacher, I know there are barriers for Black males to be involved in all aspects of an academic class, and the idea that we could create a space where all those spaces were going to be open was really exciting to me."
I mean, I don't really know what to make of this. It should be infuriating because, again, what they're basically saying is there is something about being Black in America that prevents you from learning like everybody else. I think that is a horrible way to try to remedy the very real educational inequalities that we face in this country. Certainly, we know that there are certain issues impacting people that come predominantly from poverty backgrounds, that come from predominantly single-family backgrounds, but those are not restrictive by race. And so clearly, you have a school that's already majority minority. If they did what we have been doing for eons, having children in classes or basically broken down by their actual proficiency levels, then maybe it would be a majority class. But the notion that you would go out to say the problem here is not that we are failing the kids, the problem is that these particular children, by virtue of being Black, have a certain disability when it comes to learning. Whether they want to acknowledge it or not, that is what is implied. And again, if that weren't the case, they'd simply say, have the kids broken down by where they are currently in this pedagogical order.
Thank you for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.